Hey everyone, welcome back to a new video. Today I'm going to be reviewing Destiny 2 Strikes. Right now I can't really play any games and record them because luckily I am finally upgrading this PC because the PC has been blue screening whenever I play Destiny or I try to do Blender stuff. So yeah, I'm going to be reviewing Destiny Strikes because this is all I can really do right now. If you if you enjoy this video, please subscribe because I'm trying to improve my content. Other than that, like this if you like this video, then like the video, I guess, so I know that you want more tier list videos. And if you dislike it, then dislike it. I'm fine with that. Also, please suggest what I should do to improve my content in the comment section down below. Other than that, let's get into this. So yeah. By the way, so if I miss any, by the way, I have never played Destiny 1, but I have played all of Destiny 2 pretty well. I began playing during Shadowkeep, so when I was actually looking through these, because the community can share what they've done. So personally, I saw like two other people did this one. One person did, I guess, began playing as a new light and began playing this, and they criticized everything, and they put like at the very bottom it was like, oh, I don't know. To be fair, I did do that with Fortnite, but even then it's kind of different because Fortnite is indeed a battle royale, but strikes in this game are much more important. So yeah, I'm going to be starting off with Garden World. Along with this, I will actually be going a bit more in depth with why I I will talk about why I picked its place. So at Garden World. And for some really odd reason, this was my first strike. I originally remember when I began playing, Garden World was my first strike. And because I never really, I never played strikes before that. It's kind of hard to explain why, but let's just say I didn't want to do strikes yet when I began playing. So instead what I do, I'd play open world a lot. And when I got into strikes, I did strike playlists. So this was the first strike I ever played. In fact, if you want to go, you can go back to one of my really bad streams where you could see really laggy streams as well, but you could see a Garden World. Back then, for some reason, I had better FPS, and I don't know why. But yeah, a Garden World, because of that, I would be putting it in alright, but then there's the fact that it has a pretty start, I'd say, but then along with that, I do think it gets too much hate, and because of that, I'm putting it in Met. Broodhold. Broodhold, recently they've been reusing its mechanics, I believe. Forgetting what it is, but I think, oh yeah, they reused, like, the boss or whatever in, I'm not even going to talk about it really, but Broodhold, it's hard to explain in my opinion of it because it is, in the end of the day, I originally want to be playing, I was like, oh, it's alright. And then over time, it was like the boss was cool, but then most of the strike was kind of boring. And because of that, also for some reason, I glitched through the map a bit, and because I'll throw that to crappy. Exodus Crash. Everyone gives hate for this one, and I don't think it deserves that much hate, but I don't think it deserves that much love either. In my opinion, boss, I thought it had a really cool design, but they did a terrible job with the boss room. Along with that, never got killed by the boss. Instead, I'd always get killed by the damn Shanks. Throughout the whole strike, it was just open world stuff. I do like some of the areas that they showed us, but even then, a lot of the areas I kind of just hated. So, yeah, because of that, because of Exodus Crash doing that and all that, and plus also it's a bit too long. And also, I remember when I was doing the Drain quest, and I was a noob at that time because this was before Beyond the Light, like way before it. I kept on, you had to like solo it or whatever, and I remember I would die so many times. If I did it with any other strike, it would have worked out fine. Because of that, I'm throwing it down to crappy, not trash. That only goes to one single little strike. Okay. Next up, Fallen Saber. I was about to say Alan Saber, but it's not Alan Saber. It's Fallen Saber. Fallen Saber can go up to alright. And the reason for that is because, in the end of the day, it was a pretty cool boss. The whole design of it I thought was cool. I hated the starting area. Outside of the starting area, it was cool. Like the sparrows and the whole, like, arc beams and all that. I actually kind of enjoyed it. Next up, we got the shortest strike. Lake of Shadows. Okay. Lake of Shadows was my first Nightfall ever. And I actually did really well on it, so I actually got the emblem. So, yeah. But even then, it's kind of short. But then and because it's short, I would put it down to meh. But then I'm putting it to great because of how good it is to speedrun. Along with this, the design of the whole thing is really good. But then I'm gonna throw it down to alright, and then I'm gonna throw it back up. I was gonna throw it down to alright because I just remembered how many times I died because of people sparing. That's annoying. But outside of that, great. So yeah, great strike, and it's a great short strike. Proving Grounds, ooh, alright. Yeah, alright. It's alright. Proving Grounds is the newest one, and I actually think it's better than the one that came with Beyond the Light, which I'll get into later. Um, I actually got that was like my first season I ever bought, and it was worth it by far. It was the best season I've ever played. And along with this, Proving Grounds just had a pretty cool aesthetic, I'd say. You had the starting area, you'd go in the tank. That was pretty cool. You had a nice, cool little area there, and I was gonna throw it down to alright. Keeping it at alright because of a glitch where you'd literally be flying into the ceiling because of the tanks, or you'd be hitting the ginormous banners. But yeah, outside of that, the boss battle was kind of alright, and yeah, that's it. Savathun Song. Okay, there's 3 of these that I miss. I really miss. Actually, sorry, 4 of them that I really miss. Wait, right? No, maybe a bit more, but yeah. The first one was Sabaton Song. Wow, I love Titan. I've already expressed this, but I love Titan. Whenever I'm like a bad day, I'm like, oh, I'm gonna go to Titan and explore because its aesthetics were really good. Like you have the old oil rigs and all that, and then you go in there and it's like just ginormous archaeology and all that. Sorry if I mispronounced that, but yeah in general, Savathun's song was a great strike, and plus it had great story in it. It was really good, and because I'm putting up to God, it's a God tier strike. It was by far the best vanilla, one of the best vanilla strikes. So yeah, by the way, I'm actually going to be doing this in order. So because of that, so like for example, I actually think what I'm trying to say is that like for example, let's say Proving Grounds was better than Fallen Saber, I'd put it ahead, but because it's not, I'm gonna keep it there. But yeah, Strange Terrain, another god tier. Strange Terrain really did excel in the Nightfall. In fact, it was the second Nightfall I ever did. And yeah, it was also I think the first. I did do one Grandmaster Nightfall once, and that I think was Strange Terrain. And it was really hard. Or did I? I kind of forget. But even then, Strange Terrain was kind of good. So because not kind of, sorry, it was really good. Along with that, I really did enjoy Nokris. The boss battle was pretty cool. So yeah, it's kind of hard to explain why I love it, but it was also yeah, just the aesthetics of it were also really good. So yeah, Arms Dealer, trash. I hate Arms Dealer. It's really boring. Like every time I get into it, people leave. Not because of like, I because like they hate it. It's because it's just boring. It's plain boring. It's not crappy like these two because it's buggy or too much open world stuff. It's just bad. It's generic as well. The boss is a reskin of another boss, and yeah, it's hard to explain, but it's just a big green Shrek dude, and it's something. The Corrupted is next, and the Corrupted I'm gonna throw down the here. Meh. Here's the thing. I think Corrupted gets a bit too much hate. But even then, it's not the best. I think it's really large, way too large to be. And the boss fight is a bit too long, but outside of that, like it does have a bit of bugs. So yeah, it's hard to really explain. But the boss was alright, and the final boss room, I remember every time I die because just the ball falling off the map and it wouldn't respawn occasionally. So like that wasn't it. That was kind of annoying. Devil's Lair. I would put it to God, but then there's the plot hole of where both of these have a major plot hole, include that they are, how should I put this? They don't make sense because now when you like originally they had the devils in them and whatever, like especially with this they had the Fallen House of Devils in them. Yeah, okay, and what else? Just and outside of that, it's a great strike, but it just has a major plot hole. And also, along with this, when they added the brig or whatever, the brigs would always destroy me, and I'm like kind of mad at that. Outside that, the boss fight would be really good, but it's just kind of the servitors can always the servitors that come around and protect it kind of annoy me sometimes. So yeah, the disgrace. A lot of people are split on this one, in my opinion, like because everyone's like, "Oh, I love the disgrace," and then I hate the disgrace because it's a copy of the whatever the Omnigal Strike, and it's like, okay, I'm gonna throw it all right because I think it has a better boss room. Even though I've never played Destiny 1, I think a lot of Destiny 1 players can agree with me without having nostalgia issues. I think it's better than the original boss room. If you don't know, I can actually search up on Destiny Omnigal 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 Destiny boss room. So yeah, what is this? Ooh, so the boss room, yeah, it's kind of just boring. And so yeah. So this is the original boss room, if I'm correct. Or is it a bit different? But I kind of forget. Outside of that, I do think the boss room's a bit better, and because I'm throwing it there. Plus also all the new lights in it, it's kind of fun to watch them fail. Next up, last way, trash. It's trash because the boss has nothing to be desired. There's way too many wyverns. I love wyverns, but it kind of ruined a bit for me. And the rest of the strike's just getting frozen by the fallen. Um, Along with this, it was with Beyond the Light. A lot of people are like, "Oh, it's better than Shadowkeep," and I'm like, "Well, no, it isn't because Shadowkeep at least had two strikes. It also at least cost $35, or like even it's like $30. While Forsaken was worth $40, and this was as much as Forsaken, but it didn't have as much content. It had as much content as Shadowkeep, and possibly even less. Along with this, they literally vaulted all the best things in the game. So they did some good stuff, but then they deleted all the actually good Crucible maps. I never used to play it, but you know, anyways, yeah, Hollowed Layer is next, and Hollowed Layer is crappy. I don't even know how to explain it, but it's something. The boss kind of just drags on. And then there's like the rest and like, eh. Along with this, I don't know even how to explain it, and because of that, it's going down to crappy because it was kind of boring, and I forget everything about it. Inside Terminus, I'd say great because it did come with Warmind, which was I was surprised when I found that out. But other than that, Kargan was a cool boss. Big Siren had a cool boss room. It's a good Nightfall. Outside of that, it's a good overall, not that boring actually, and I do enjoy it. So because of that, Inside Terminus is great. Inverted Spire is going over here. Do what I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna put Devil's Lair in front of it, Inside Terminus, and Inverted Spire here. Because Lake of Shadows, I think I just remembered some bugs in it, and I don't like those bugs. But yeah, Inverted Spire. This boy, oh, Atheon was the boss. There was a copy of Atheon. Outside that, I thought its ability switching was kind of cool. Outside of that, the rest of the strike was kind of cool, you know, like the drills. The only thing really taking away from me was I guess the one where you had to go through the battlefield before the drills, like between like before the drills, and you had to turn on the lever to get onto the drills. That place kind of bored me. So yeah. Okay, next up, Pyramidium. Oh boy, Pyramidion. I miss it. Ahead of Strange Terrain because it was a lot like it was meant to be like the strike version of um what is it called? Vault of Glass. And you know, that's fine, and it's because of that I kinda enjoy it. Because of the laser traps and just overall the cool boss arena. I actually really liked Brachion. If that's what he's called, I think it's called Brachion. But the Ginormous Hobgoblin, really cool. I really like the hobgoblins as a boss. I think they deserve to be bosses and not barriers because that's kind of annoying. But outside of that, I do. Plus, also the voice lines were really cool. Really, the thing I loved the most about it was the traps, and yeah, it just it's a really good strike. And if you're a new light, you should have began playing the game before, because that was a great strike. Both these god ones really good. Scarlet Creep. Oh boy, meh. I got Shadow Creep, and this was like the only non-vaulted strike they had. Well, yeah, but really, it's something, you know. It's a bit too long for my taste. It's like the Scarlet Keep of. I remember some people were like, "Oh, it's like it's like Shadow Keep's Hollow Layer." I think it's alright. It's meh, you know? It's meh. Not alright, but it's meh. It's just too long, and the final boss room, I remember every time I'd be playing, there'd be that one really good player, the one really bad player, and be in between. We'd have the plates, we'd go onwards, and then at the very end, the bad player would die first. The good player would be really, really cocky and just throw himself at the orgs, and he'd die, and I'd be the last one left. That's the one bad thing. Also, along with this, a bit of glitches and all that. So, because of that, I'm throwing it to Matt. But we have tree of probabilities. Oh boy. I don't know where to throw it, actually. I'm gonna throw it down here. Because Create Probabilities had a really cool boss room. It had like one of the best boss rooms, but the rest of the Stam Strike sucked. It was the worst. Rest of the strike was the worst part. Like, Arms Dealer was overall just like a thin layer of just crappy. And because of that, all the things were kind of crappy. Because of that, I'm not throwing it to crappy, I'm throwing it to trash. Glassway, you know, some of the parts were cool. Because of that, I'm throwing it there. But Tree of Probabilities had one of the coolest boss rooms. Had a cool boss that slammed that damn Vex Vex Minotaur, and then he just went on. You know, we went through shields. I thought that was pretty cool, but the rest of the strike sucked. It was like the worst. It was so boring, and the only reason why I wanted to play it was because of the final boss room. Anyways, yeah. Next up, Warden of Nothing, easy. There, yeah. Because I was gonna throw it there, but then I was like, because War Nothing had a really good boss, way too easy to melt though, and it really, the main issue was that how long it was. But outside of that, it had so many bosses, so much to do, and a lot of people liked it because it was and they were nostalgia a bit for Destiny 1 players with the Prison of Elders. So yeah. Next up, the Will of the Thousands. Oh boy, this one is alright. I think this one's alright. Not good, and it's not bad. This is alright. Not much to say about it. It's just there. The boss was cool, and it had cool aesthetics, but outside of that, it was kind of... You'd spare around, you go through the caves, you'd fight the thrall, and all that, and I was like, oh, that's pretty cool, and all that, so, you know, because of that, I'm throwing it there. Also, next up, we have Festering Core. I'm going to actually go back to it because it's hard to explain. The largest issue I had with it was because of how easy the boss was. It was really good because you couldn't use shotguns and swords on it. But then it was really bad because Destiny, I guess the Destiny devs were like, oh, it's going to be really hard for the Destiny players without shotguns and actually no, sorry, it's going to be really hard for them without swords and all that. I'm not going to say shotguns because I know that back then it was the double primary meta, so because of that, I'd say it would have been a bit different. And it would probably be, you know, like lower damage auto rifles and all that, so I'd say it would be reasonably hard, but even then, kind of easy, all things considered. Okay, finally, Festering Core. Oh boy, I am so split on this because Festering Core was immediately sunset, but then it was brought back. The issue was with Festering Core is that it's the only DLC strike that's been vaulted, and I don't think it deserves to do that because I actually think it's better than Corrupted. Because, oh wait, what? Okay, because the Festering Core had a really cool boss room. It had a really cool layout, but the issue was it was a bit buggy. And along with this, the boss was a one-for-one. It was just a remake of the Lake of Shadows boss, but a slight bit harder. Because of that, I actually am gonna throw it in Matt because it's not good, not god, it's not great, and it's not trash, and it's not crappy. The only thing putting it to crappy would be the bugs. But the boss was meh because it was a copy of Lake of Shadows. But imagine this as a mix between the Pyramidion, Lake of Shadows, and what else? And yeah, Pre-Meridian and Lake of Shadows would be like together they'd make their baby would be Festering, the Festering Core. Outside of that, yeah, that's my tier list. This is my tier list, okay? So yeah, that's it really.